It's Tuesday, June 11th, and we have 15 games on a loaded MLB card. But how do we find with 15 games which ones to bet? Well, that's what you're here to find out. We'll be talking Houston, San Francisco, Seattle, and Chicago, San Diego, Oakland, Pittsburgh, and St. Louis. Those four are a definite, and definitely joining me here, I got Ralph Michaels, Eric Pauly joining me in the saddle to talk some Tuesday baseball. Welcome on in. And Ralph, double pens out the gate. Ralph, the pen, Michaels, two pens must mean people can grab your play today for $2. Is that right, my man?
Absolutely, Dan. It's been a great 6 weeks in baseball. My 2% play, my $2 play is a 5%. I've gone 8-2 the last 10 and 6-1, 86% on 5% MLB sides. Very excited and honored to be the WagerTalk $2 handicapper for Tuesday, June 11th.
$2 less than a cup of coffee, according to Prez, which tells you he doesn't know the price of coffee here. That's for sure. But Ralph, I'm going to swing it right back to you, man, because two teams that probably want to get some deep action out of their starters, simply because even with solid outings last night, the bullpen's got to be tired for Houston and San Francisco. It's just even with terrific outings, what did we get? Argetti and Kyle Harrison, 6th and 7th innings respectively, and we still got all kinds of usage there in the bullpen. So this is an interesting handicap here in game 2, and I'm wondering how you're looking to bet this one.
Well, Dan, you talked about those bullpens. Houston played against the Angels, and what happened on Sunday's game is they were up by 2 runs going the 8th. So they pitched Presley back-to-back games. Presley gave up 2 runs in 2 1/3 innings. And then yesterday they couldn't pitch Presley. They had to give him the day off, and the bullpen faltered again. So Houston back-to-back games, losses thanks to their bullpen. Now we know Houston's been a train wreck. They're number 27 as far as terms of profit goes this season. Their average line this year has been minus $1.40. So when you look at teams at minus $1.40, the theoretical means they should win 58.3% of the time. I went back to my database and looked at every MLB team that has been a favorite of minus 140. They've won 57.9%. So very close to what the theoretical. What are the Astros? 30 and 37 with an average line of minus 140. That is minus 19.2% ROI. With that said, I will be on the Astros here for this video. When a team like Houston,
go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. A team like Houston, when you have the expectations they've had for, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, when you have that bad season, it's very tough to play in front of your home crowd. The enthusiasm isn't there. And you just don't like going to work in front of home crowds. Well, Blanco seems to follow that trend. Blanco, in his 5 road starts this year, a 2.08 ERA and a whip right around 1, has played very well. You look at Houston's bats the last few games, 45 hits and 23 runs their last 4 games. Let's compare that to San Francisco, only 9 runs and 20 hits their last 3 games. Hicks has been very solid this year, but in his last 2 outings, he gave up 4 runs in 5 2/3 innings, and then gave up 6 hits and 4 walks, allowed 10 batters to reach in just 3 2/3 innings in his last at-bat. Giants, 23 and 32 on the season, excluding games as a favorite of minus 150 and higher. But they're only 8 and 17 off a win. The average loss by over 4 runs per game. If they're off a win like that, they have tended to let down. And Houston started the season 7 and 16, the game after a loss. But since May 9th, they are now 10 and 2 their last 12 games following a loss. Yes, they did lose back-to-back names now, but that trend still applies. Again, I am never going to be backing these Houston Astros as a favorite, but in this situation against the San Francisco team, I clearly do lean with Houston.
Yeah, and I feel like, the final statement that you make there, Ralph, is really, as long as you're talking about sides, that's betting baseball 101 is you got to make the numbers make sense in a long marathon that is betting the season. So I'm with you. Houston Astros laying, forget it. When they start getting points or they start getting some money on the take back there, that's when they start getting added to my short list there. That one makes a heck of a lot of sense to me. Total in that one. Also, we're seeing 7.5. The chat feeling maybe that one a little bit low when you look at some of those bullpen usage numbers, but Ralph laying out some nice stats there. Speaking of the chat, Kyle over there in the YouTube Shorts feed, Titan CT, Have Cash, Fortnite, Nick, and Tyler, and everyone joining us here today. We appreciate you. While you're hanging out, make sure you smash or gently touch the like button. Either way works for us. EP, you got a game that you have slated here to chat about, and it's San Diego and Oakland. It was a welcome sight, I'm sure, for San Diego getting Machado back into the lineup, and he delivered. He delivered, and it was a nice, easy coast for San Diego backers last night. The price, though, today climbing around that 156 and higher. Randy Vasquez on the mound. He's opposing lefty JP Sears. How are you looking to bet this one, and how do you think the bats might fare against this left-handed pitching for San Diego?
Yeah, so my initial look on this game is to bet on the over. Now, there's a situation where the San Diego Padres are a team that has been very frustrating this season. They seem to be like do score like 10 plus runs and they're, absolutely laying it up, or they have, go 1 for 13 with runners in scoring position like they did a couple of times last week in a frustrating series loss against the Los Angeles Angels. But JP Sears, now he has thrown some pretty decent outings this year, left-handed pitcher, and the Padres over the course of the last 30 and last 14 games have actually put together some very good at-bats against left-handed pitching. Fernando Tatis Jr. absolutely on fire. Jurickson Profar, probably a surefire all-star so far this year, the way that he's been playing, does very well against left-handed pitching. On the other hand, you have Randy Vasquez, who's going for the Padres. Now, he is kind of a reliever turned starter, came over in that Juan Soto trade. Been decent this year, but there you have Padres a bullpen, and this is not a bullpen that is rested. This is a team that is going to need to get a lot of innings out of Randy Vasquez. But looking at some of his advanced metrics and splits against both sides of the plate, he is a tough he is not having a great go this season. He is very hittable, and we know that this Oakland Athletics team is capable of stringing together runs and is not an anemic offense by any means. So based on just these two starters going at it, the way the Padres hit lefties and Vasquez's probably inability to go deep in this game when they're going to need it because their bullpen is beat up, I think this line of 8 runs is a little too low, and I like the full game over between the A's and the Padres. And I like, again, Profar and Tatis to take a look at their total base props or their hit run RBI props, as there are two guys who match up very well with Sears and are also swinging great bats right now.
That's Eric Pauly. You can get more at the Gold Sheet, WT.buzz/TGS. Some thoughts there right out of the gate. Keep those comments coming on games you'd like to hear us chat about. Don't worry, the gentlemen do have best bets coming your way. We're going to talk Seattle and the Chicago White Sox, Pittsburgh, and St. Louis coming up here. We'll roll with some of the questions from the chat room. We appreciate you tuning in, making us a part of your Tuesday here. And we got Ralph Michaels, the pen here, the nerfy, the yerfy guys. So we're going to be talking some of those plays as well. But first, Ralph, we had Kyle chiming in before the show even started, and he's saying, I can't make sense of this Baltimore and Atlanta Braves game. He's saying tough to pick a side in this one. One thing I will say before we hear your breakdown here on the Bravos and the Orioles, if you're struggling finding to pick a side, there's 15 games on the card. We don't have to bet this one. But, it seems like O's kind of on a little bit of a roll here. They're returning home after a beautiful 6-2 road trip where the Bravos, they're just kind of trying to find some even footing. So it feels like we ride the hot hand here with the Orioles, but it can't be that easy, especially when we're getting plus money. It's Suarez on the mound. It's Fried opposing them, and that probably has something to do with why you're seeing the take back here for the home side. Anything stand out to you in this one, Ralph?
Yeah, I look at the Braves and, when you lose a superstar like that, you're either going to have players rally or you're going to see a big deficit in your run scoring. And we've seen that deficit. They're batting $193 the last 7 games. Take a look. They did score 5 runs against Washington, but that was because they had 5 walks and 8 hits. You're not going to get 5 walks off Suarez today. Prior to that, 7 hits, 1 walk, 6 hits, 2 walks, 7 walks, 7 hits, 0 walks, 1 hit, 2 walks. If you have that type of offense and there's been no momentum, it's not a team I'm going to back at all. So in that case, to me, it would be the O's. Again, that's sort of a one-sided type situation, but I'm sure you could talk to most handicappers. And Eric, I know will agree, there's times you're just not going to back a team no matter how much of a pitching edge they have if they're not hitting the ball. So it's either like the under or like a fade until that team proves they've broken out of their slump. I'll take a quote from Steve Merrow. Never catch that falling knife. Don't try to gamble when the streak will end. Atlanta, 3 straight losses. They're 1-4. The O's continue just to be moneymakers. So to me, it would be the O's or pass.
Yeah, and Kyle saying the line kind of looks like a trap when you're getting plus money with a team who's rolling. It definitely can feel that way sometimes, but the reality of it, Eric D chiming in with a terrific handicap over on the YouTube feed. Braves were swept by the Nats. ATL is a pile of donkey dung. So strong breakdown there from our man Eric D. Appreciate it. EP, anything stand out to you in this one? Ralph kind of breaking down, if you would look one way, you would take the plus money here. The one, I guess, and it's more anecdotal than anything, didn't get to play an AL East team. And that has been their bread and butter this season for sure. It's going to be 6 straight interleague games for Baltimore. Is it as simple for you taking that plus money and running, or do you see this game a different way?
It is as simple as to me as taking this plus money and running now. When the Braves were in Washington, they're only minus like $130 against Mackenzie Gore. I took the Braves. I'm getting the better team at a minus 130 price. And what happens? They get absolutely smacked. Now, of course, Max Fried is the best pitcher on the Braves. Chris Sale, probably Chris Sale is better, but Max Fried's obviously put together a very nice season. But the Baltimore Orioles are a team that do really, really well against left-handed pitching. And it's something that I just noticed all year long, despite the success they had last season and the obvious hype they had coming into this year. The Baltimore Orioles still continue to be disrespected by the betting markets. Like even last night, you have a matchup against Ryan Pepio and the Tampa Bay Rays. We've seen the Rays be one of the worst, or I guess I should say worst teams based on their preseason expectations so far this season, while the Orioles continue to roll. Now I know Pepio is a great pitcher. Money kept coming in on Tampa Bay. And what happens? The Orioles spank them. Go back a series ago against the Blue Jays. Yes, the Orioles did lose 2 of those games, but there were 2 situations in those games where they blew a 9th inning lead in a game where money again came in on the Blue Jays. Yes, it's a loser, but it was just another indication that the market was again not respecting this this Orioles team. And 2 of those other games, they were basically like a pick 'em price. And again, the Baltimore Orioles are clearly a much better team than the Toronto Blue Jays. Now, if the Braves are, fully healthy and rolling as expected, are the Orioles better? It's probably closer to minus 110, but we're getting plus 110. And I know that Max Fried is, of course, the better starter, but I would have to go with the rolling Orioles in this matchup. They're just a team that is continuing to be disrespected by the market, and I don't know when it'll stop. They're so good.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, go ahead, Ralph. Yeah.
I went to the database when we were talking, and this disproves my point, and that's fine. That's why I love these questions that pop up, because we think something in our head, but the numbers don't show this. I went back to 2006 in our database.
Okay.
I looked at teams with a win percentage above 65% from game number 50 and on. So we're a third of the way season. This team is a good team. If you're a 65% or higher win percentage from game 50 on, those home dogs, there's only been 39 home dogs in this situation. They've actually gone 13-26, minus 28.8% ROI. So we think one thing, we bet things one way, but the numbers don't always show. And the database is the all-powerful that has proven that if a team that good is a home dog, there's a reason they're a home dog. And 99% of the time, it's because of the opposition's starter.
Yeah, and I love and the fact you're able to query that stuff so quickly and get actionable info for the folks. I mean, people, if you're not smashing that like button before, come on. The man just pulled those stats all the way back from 2006 for you. But that is one thing that I love, and it's something that you do on one of our flagship shows, Bet On It, Ralph, when we do the TNA segment. And it's kind of disproving, I call them those Barney at the bar takes, where it's just kind of like these formulaic, hey, here's how we do it. Team returning from a road trip, and it's just like these talking points that become louder and louder and louder that turn them into autoplay spots. The database is a great place to either back some of those up or refute them, as Ralph pointed out right there. So hop below in the comments. What do you guys think? I know one person pointed out, hey, Ace Rothstein saying, worried a little bit about the O's heading back from the road trip. Maybe that has something to do with the price here. Hey, sometimes you just got to make the price make sense for you. Good question there, though, by Ace. We also had someone chiming in here. I think it was our man Tyler. So, EP, I'm going to throw this your way because it's in your neck of the woods when we're talking about the Washington and Detroit matchup. Kenta Maeda on the mound. Nats is the side for our man Tyler. He's saying people are saying Parker's road splits are concerned. He's not worried about the road splits for the lefty. Are you? What do you think about this Washington and Detroit game, EP?
So I'm a big Nationals guy this year just because I have money on their over win total. I have money on them to finish either third or fourth in the NL East. So, yeah, I would like to see the Washington Nationals continue to rack up wins. With that being said, I know Kenta Maeda is a guy who is somewhat of a, I don't want to say auto fade, but you definitely look to go against Kenta Maeda because, this season he has proven that, Father Time is undefeated. It's just, are these two teams realistically even? Like, are the Tigers and Nationals really a toss-up? I would argue that the Detroit Tigers, despite them not being, a much better team by any means, is the better overall baseball team. Now we know over the course of a 162-game season, the better team is not always going to win every single game. However, in the first game of the series, I feel like I've noticed this. And again, I'm not going to be able to pull up any trends because this is a situation that I've been noticing based on my personal numbers in relation to the betting market. I've noticed a lot of times this, for the first game of the series, those are lines you can attack because if you really have, a good set of numbers that you have yourself, that you originate yourself, and you are willing to kind of say, not like screw you to the market, because obviously you have to respect the market when gambling, but if you disagree and put your money where your mouth is on sides and totals in the first game of a series where it's really not clear, especially with situations like interleague games and teams that don't play each other that frequently, where you can find edges despite, again, what the market is telling you. In this situation, I have the Detroit Tigers power rated higher, and I'm getting them at minus 110. I understand that the Tigers are a boomer bust offense where they're scoring, 10 or they're scoring 2. Nationals can get hot and roll. Both bullpens are susceptible to blowing up. But with that being said, I do still have the Tigers power rated higher. I'm getting a minus 110, so I would take the Tigers here.
Yeah, I fully get looking towards that. And hey, when your numbers say what they say, it's what you got to roll with. And I respect that for sure. Ralph, for you, I'm just looking at this matchup and looking at the starting pitching, and I think sometimes maybe it's just the jersey that people see, and they don't really realize how strong that Parker has kind of been. Even if you just look at the 4 starting pitchers for Washington, 6 runs in this series, 22 and a third innings. Now, again, it kind of changes year to year, so it's not like you can extrapolate that to this series. But this game, Kenta Maeda on the mound, I know kind of up and down. EP kind of touched upon the boomer bust offense that you get from the Tigers. Could this be a nerfy spot? Washington, Detroit? What say you on that? And what do your trends say on that?
Let me pull that up. Washington has been a no-run first-inning team, no question. You look at them right now; they're on a 7-1 nerfy run. They did score on Sunday. On Saturday, they did score a first-inning run. And they did score a first-inning run on May 27th. You have to go back, though, to May 18th. So they've only scored 2 first-inning runs since May 18th. Now, I post this first-inning chart every day on Twitter, @CalSportsLV. It gives you
Yep.
the last 3 weeks if your team scored, if your opponent scored, or both teams scored. And Dan, I post a free Nerfy play every day. They have gone 38 and 13, 75% on my homepage. And I think what's really made me a better Nerfy better is the previous seasons, I just marked Nerfy yes or no. But by splitting, if the team scored, if the opponent team scored, we've some an amazing situations. Example, the Baltimore Orioles have scored 1 run, 1 game on the road this year. They're 1 in 24 in road games scoring in the first inning. So I have not done this, but I know a couple guys that I talk about Nerfies. They started taking the higher odd. Not only can you bet the Nerfies, but FanDuel and DraftKings has given us so many opportunities. They will take Baltimore no-run first inning for the team at minus 240. Find another team that's a positive, parlay them together, and they're having great success as well. I haven't gone that far. But, I said, you look at Detroit. Now, Detroit actually has been a yes-run first-inning team. They've gone yes-run the last 2 games. And if you go back the last 1, 2, 3, 4, they're 6-3 yes-run first inning the last 9 games. At home, they've played in their last 8 home games. They've had 4 yeses, 4 nos. So to me, when I have a team like Detroit that is a yes-run first inning and a team that's Washington, it's a pass for me, unless you're going to try to get cute with the Washington side not scoring as a single team bet and then parlaying it with another situation.
Man, I love that breakdown. And again, had some folks asking, Alex Rodriguez, shout out to you. Thanks for joining us. What's the Twitter handle again? At Cal Sports LV, dropping the chart daily. And Ralph is really, you heard the record there, ISO'd in on these Yerfies, these Nerfies. He is your guy. So head on over to his page, WagerTalk.com, WT.buzz/RM. While you're there, you can get a 5% best bet locked and loaded for today in MLB on a hell of a run on those as well. You can grab it for just $2 today. $2 for the pen, Ralph Michaels. Find that laying around the couch. Pick up the change. Pick up the play. That's all I'm going to say about that one. Gentlemen, a game that the folks have been wanting us to chat about here, Yankees and Kansas City. It was great for the Yankees. They not only got to get the win, they got to get Soto back in. They got to give Judge a little bit of a rest here. And now they're hoping they can continue more of the same. And EP, just an absolute wagon. What is it? 10 out of the last 12 that the Yankees have gotten in the win column. It'll be Stroman versus Singer in this one. Is there any reason why we don't just keep eating the chalk with the Yankees here and just keep riding this insane run until the wheels fall off? What are you thinking?
Yeah, so this is a game where, in general, I would just agree, you're getting the much better baseball team, minus 140. However, these are 2 pitchers that I think honestly stink. So these are 2 guys that I look to fade for, total base props, overs, as well as a perfect day for today, Dinger Tuesday. Now, Marcus Stroman is a ground ball pitcher through and through. He's got a 78% ground ball rate, but we did see him allow 2 home runs to the Twins in his last outing in that game last week at Yankee Stadium. Now, Brady Singer, the Yankees offense has not taken him deep at all this year, and Brady Singer is, again, a guy that I've spoken about ad nauseum. So, again, coming into last year, everyone was like, oh, this guy's going to be an absolute stud, and he got absolutely rocked. Now, this year, it was like, oh, is this guy going to stink? And he's absolutely good. And he, too, is a ground ball pitcher, 85%, 85th percentile in ground ball rate, but has allowed a home run in each of his last 2 outings. And we know the New York Yankees are a team that lifts the baseball. And something that I've noticed that I've been interested in, and we've seen with this Yankees team when they went over to San Francisco, is when you have guys who are ground ball pitchers against ground ball hitters, you would normally think that, it's just like a game of who's going to win this battle. Who's going to make are the hitters going to pound the ball into the dirt, or are these hitters going to lift the ball out of the ballpark? And we've seen Aaron Judge against Logan Webb, and as well as Jordan Hicks, who's another big ground ball pitcher in San Francisco, lift the baseball and hit the ball out of the ballpark. And then on the other side, we saw the Twins do the same thing to Stroman, and the Royals have some guys who are able to lift the baseball. So it seems like in a small sample, hitters have the advantage in that situation. So I think the total of 9 is a bit low. I'd also look at the first 5 over as well, as I think, again, these two pitchers are susceptible to getting hit hard, and the ball can go in the air, which will lead to some home runs. So this is a game I'd look at for Dinger Tuesday. Of course, Aaron Judge, Bobby Witt, Giancarlo Stanton are 3 guys who I would look at. And also Salvador Perez. Those are guys that I'd look at for potential home run targets for Dinger Tuesday on FanDuel. And I'm interested in the first 5 and full game over, as these two teams can mash. And the Yankees lineup is so much better with Judge and Soto in it than without either one of them in it.
And EP, we're already in mid-season Gold Sheet TV form, because I was going to ask you about those Dinger Tuesdays. You already dropped some entries. Our man Cheshire Cat was saying Gunnar Henderson was one look for him. You just got some thoughts on EP's potential targets versus that Dinger Tuesday promo. Always a fun one to just use a little bit of a sprinkle, a little pizza money, have some fun on some home run props there. Ralph, before we get into some of the best bets here, any final thoughts on that game there? I know we touched upon a lot of the potential hitters there. Anything side total stand out to you? It's looking like we are seeing some over money in this one, so maybe the market agreeing that these starting pitchers maybe not bet on for these two options here. What are you thinking, Ralph?
I agree with the over, and I do want to point out one time to do lay off the Yankees. You look at the Yankees righty-lefty splits. Against lefties, they're 9-6, but an average line of -170. So that puts them at a -8.0 ROI. So against lefties, they've been a money burner, only faced them 15 times. That makes their righty numbers so much stronger. In fact, they're number 1 in MLB against right-handed pitchers, and they're just ahead of your Phillies, Dan. So I will give a shameless plug to my son, because he puts a lot of work in this. He does a weekly MLB records report, and he posts it every Monday on his page. He's wt.buzz/JMS. He breaks down year-to-date and last 15 games for all games, home games, away games, favorites, dogs, day, night, versus lefties versus righties. So you will have the exact breakdown for each team: run line, average line profit, ROI, money line, and over-under records in every one of those categories for every team.
Beautiful. Yeah, definitely check that out. Jeff Michaels, they're over at WagerTalk, and you can find him on Twitter as well. Keep those comments coming. We appreciate it. While you're commenting, make sure you hit that like button. And if you haven't already, hit that bell. Make sure you're subscribed here to the YouTube channel here at WagerTalk TV. If you're joining us on Twitter or on Instagram, hit that follow button if you haven't already. All right, Ralph, best bet time. Remind people about that $2 play you got rocking, and tell us how we're going to be betting Seattle and the Chicago White Sox here tonight. It's Brian Wu on the mound for Seattle going up against Thorpe, and it's a big price you have to lay if you want to back the Mariners. So I'm hoping you're not saying, hey, let's eat $2 of chalk, and that'll be the best bet. Get a little bit more creative for me here, Ralph.
Dan, I'm going to lay the 1.5 runs and basically take them at -110. Now, let me preface this. You talked about some of those bar talk things, and I would say if you mention run line, how many people are going to say to you, well, I only bet the run line if I have the road team, because they're always going to bat 9 innings, and the home team only may bat 8. Well, again, what you think is the process and what the actual numbers are completely different. First of all, there is an adjustment. I went back to the database the last 20 years. When you have a home team that is -200, the average run line price is plus 103.6. If you have an away team that is a -200 favorite, the price is -123.8. Folks, these are Vegas casinos making money on sports books. They're not just going to give you an extra at bat without adjusting the odds. It is almost a 32-cent difference for the road team from the home team. And when I go to the database, road teams as a 200 favorite are a negative ROI, and home teams on the run line are a positive ROI. Now I look at the White Sox. They're 5-27 on the road, including 1-11 since May 17th. When I look at the White Sox 50 losses this year, 39 of them, or 78%, were by 2 runs or more. So I'm not afraid to play against the White Sox in run lines. Seattle, a strong home favorite. They're 18-4 as a favorite or small dog since April 15th, including 14-2 at night. And when I look at those games, when they're a favorite of 135 or more, 80% of those have been by 2 runs or more. So I'm not afraid to play Seattle laying that run. Wu has been amazing. 16 hits, 4 runs in 34 2/3 innings. Let me repeat that. 16 hits and 4 runs in 34 2/3 innings. He has 6 starts in and he has a 1.07 ERA. We also have a situation where Drew Thorpe is making his appearance. Drew Thorpe is a Double-A player. The interesting thing is he actually played at San Luis Obispo with Wu. They were teammates there. I had to look it up. They only finished second in the conference one year and fourth in the conference. So you have 2 major league pitchers in college and you still can't win the conference. So, but Thorpe is someone who was with the Yankees. He was a number 2 draft pick in 2022. Got a signing bonus of well over $1 million. Pitched great. He was 14-2 with a 2.52 ERA and 102 strikeouts in 139 innings for the Yankees in Single-A. He got traded to San Diego, and then San Diego in the Cease trade sent him to the White Sox. So he got traded twice this offseason. In Double-A, he has pitched excellent. He has a 1.5 ERA, but he has not pitched over Double-A. So this was not a client play, but it was very close because Thorpe is a big strikeout pitcher. Their manager says he has so much composure. He pitches well beyond his years. So when you're making a play, it's important to mark all those things that are a positive, but also look at the things that are a negative. The other thing that's a negative for the situation, which is keeping me off of it, is the White Sox have actually found an offense the last 4 games. They've scored 21 runs. They're averaging over 9 hits per game. And that is scary when you have to lay the 1.5. So I still like the situation. I still think it's worthy of maybe a 1% play. But the not knowing what this kid is going to do coming up, the White Sox actually having a little better offense is keeping me off of making it a client play. But I do like Seattle minus the 1.5. Strong home court, one of the lowest ERAs for any starter in baseball against one of the weakest teams. And Teddy asked me today on WagerTalk today, we mentioned this game. One thing I want to mention is, do you keep fading the White Sox, or is there a point where you can't say the line keeps getting too big so you don't want to do them? I read some Chicago White Sox quotes today and yesterday from the manager. They actually their 3rd player from Double-A that pulled up. So you are struggling on. You continue all these young kids to try to play for the future. I'm not afraid continuing to fade a team like the White Sox, especially on the road.
Riding the fade train and laying the 1.5. Don't be afraid of the chalk. According to our man, Ralph Michaels, that's the best bet for him. You want the true best bet, $2. We'll get it for you over at WagerTalk.com. WT.buzz/RM will take you straight to his page. Grab that best bet for just $2 today. EP, the Phenom, is back on the mound. That's right, must-see TV when Skeens is on the set. He's taking on St. Louis, so it's Skeens versus Mikolas, and I'm wondering, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? When we get the outing, we look for Skeens. As long as the bullpen doesn't screw it up on the back end for him, it's been a nice 3-0 with the 3 ERA. Just the heat that he throws, his patented splinker that we'll see. I'm in love with watching this dude play baseball. Is that the side that we're betting, EP?
Yeah, I'm rocking with Paul Skeens. I know it probably seems like a kind of a square take taking the phenom, but at this point, I'm actually going to just argue that Paul Skeens is underpriced and is on his way to being a top 10 pitcher in the major leagues currently. If you look at the first 5 money line, they're like minus 166, which is probably a little strong. I know that the Pirates have gotten a lot of run support for Skeens to help him start off his career. But I'm going full game. You have the Pirates coming off a day of a rest, so all their bullpen pitchers should be ready for this one. Miles Michaelis has somehow avoided getting absolutely shelled so far this season, but this Pirates lineup knows Michaelis well, as he's been with St. Louis, and obviously they are both in the same division. With that being said, I still think again that we're getting a discount, or not a discount, but we're still not correctly pricing how good Paul Skeens is. I think the first five is juiced. I think there's just value going full game. Michaelis very hittable. The Pirates, an offense that has been hitting the ball pretty well lately. Rested bullpen. Skeens should be able to go deep into this one. And Michaelis, second, third time through the order is when teams really do get to him. So I think minus 130 overall for Pittsburgh is a little short. And I like the road favorite with Paul Skeens, who will continue to be a favorite for this Pirates team whenever he is taking the bump. This kid is that good. All the hype is real. And we're watching a star bloom in front of our eyes.
Yeah, it's hard to argue at 130 that the price isn't a bit short. What do you have to add on that one, Ralph?
I have not, but and I've started looking at him much closely. Look at Skeens.
Yeah, Ralph, I just need you. I need you to refresh real quick for you. We're having trouble picking up your mic, so just hit refresh real quick. We'll get your thoughts on that one. The other game that we'll touch upon here before Ralph gives us the follow-up on that, at the end of the show here, we got a couple different folks talking Texas and the L.A. Dodgers. It's Paxton and Dunning. We'll circle back to that one. Ralph, we got you back here, brother.
All I say is you look at Skeens.
Yeah, Ralph, we're having trouble with the mic, brother. So we'll just have to shut it down. Maybe check your settings, your preferences, see if we can get you set up. But you're breaking out every other word. So Ralph was probably dropping knowledge there for you folks, but sometimes the microphone says it's too great of knowledge for you to possess there. So Ralph, we'll see if we can get you back to wrap it. But EP, let's just get your thoughts here before we shut things down. Dunning, Paxton, total sitting at 9. Some folks saying it could be towards the over. Daryl Turner saying he likes the over. Tyler wanted us to chat about this one too. A couple other folks over on the YouTube Shorts feed. Any thoughts here? Dunning, Texas, and Paxton for the Dodgers. What are you thinking in this one, EP?
Texas Rangers, I know that they've kind of been a cash burner this season. Obviously, coming off the World Series win, they've been, a little lackluster to start the year. A little being probably an understatement. This offense that we're used to, absolutely mashing last year, not mashing, but is a spot where I do see value on the Rangers as an outright winner. I do see value on the first 5 and full game over, as Dunning and Paxton are both very hittable pitchers. Paxton, I think, due for a real, absolute shellacking. Mentioned this a million times on the show because every time we're talking Rangers, they're facing a lefty. Why? Because teams are trying to target this team with left-handed pitching, because this team has struggled against left-handed pitching. But all things considered, I think that the Rangers are kind of closer to finding their groove. Dodgers are hitting the ball well, so I like first 5 over. I like full game over. And at the current prices, I like the Texas Rangers on the money line.
Wow, some fading of the Dodgers here. The public darling out of the breakdown there from our man Eric Pauly. You can check out the Gold Sheet info on a daily WT.buzz/TGS. We'll get you over there. And EP, before we shut things down, also tell them about what we do over at the Gold Sheet Light and how people can get some free info as well, breaking things down.
WT.buzz/GSL every single day, a free daily MLB stat sheet. We have pitchers and hitter splits. We have the Nerfy charts that Ralph posts on Twitter are all there, as well as premium picks and plays that are all free. We have a prop bet, we have a game line bet, and we have information to help you with your own handicapping. WT.buzz/GSL. Hit that download button, and there you have it. You're literally have a resource to help you handicap the slate yourself. So obviously, I help create it. I use it myself every single day. Can't recommend it enough. WT.buzz/GSL.
Yeah, and last thing we'll say, Ralph sent me just some numbers here as far as what he was going to break down for you on Skeens. He pointed out 5 innings the last 4 starts, but his pitch count is increasing. So a way that you could play that game as well, go on the Phenom. I know it's a number that might get a little bit scary, but with the pitch count increasing over 17 and a half outs, could be worth a look there. Paul Skeens in that game that EP also gave in his best bet segment. He was saying Pittsburgh on the money line. Ralph was saying lay the 1.5 with the Seattle Mariners against the Chicago White Sox. Big shout out to the chat. We appreciate y'all turning in. Professor Chris, Cheshire Cat, Daryl Turner, C over on the YouTube Shorts feed, Ricky Acosta. We appreciate you, and you're checking, again, that Twitter handle for Ralph. You can get it at CalSportsLV. Nerfy, Yerfy stats coming your way on a daily basis over there. And while you're checking him out on Twitter, check him out on WagerTalk as well. Get the $2 play for just $2, a 5%er rocking tonight for Ralph Michaels. Check that out, wt.buzz/RM. Big thanks to you guys tuning in live on the way out. Make sure you hit that like button if you haven't already. Make sure you're subscribed. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Twitter. We'll be back locked and loaded. Wednesday edition coming your way tomorrow. Until then, you don't have to go anywhere to keep getting all that info you need to cash on all the sports you love. Check out the video on your screen right now. Check out the links in the description below to keep getting all that info you know and love. Best of luck, everyone. We'll see you Wednesday. Hopefully, a little more money in our pocket. We'll see you then.